Are you getting absolutely railed in Sifu? Are the big backs crushing you down into a fun-sized snack and eating you up? In this video, I'm gonna run through some of the most helpful Sifu tips that will turn you into Mr. Miyagi's Karate Kid. Alright guys, I'm about to hit you with one of my favorite ones right here. Did you know that you can do stealth attacks in Sifu? The game does not tell you this, but yes, you can perform back shots in Sifu to immediately take your enemies down. If you walk up on an enemy without being detected, if you hit them with an X or a Y attack without being seen, you can immediately do a takedown on them. This is going to be super duper useful when you're going into a room and you know where the toughest enemy is, or if you know an enemy is going to transform after fighting him, take down that enemy first with a stealth attack. This is going to be super helpful in your gameplay. I think where people struggle the most in Sifu is fighting a huge group of enemies at once. Throughout the game, Sifu is throwing enemies at you left and right, and it is not a fair fight. You are supposed to be the master Sifuist himself, so you're supposed to be able to take them all at once. Now there's a tip to help out with this. The number one thing that's going to help you with this is the throw. When you throw enemies, it will stun them and even take parts of their structure away. That way, you can get them low enough to take them down with takedowns and other things like that. Now, your throws are only really going to work if your enemy is stunned or parried in some way or form. So you really are going to have to get those deflects down and understand how to get enemies in that state. But that's what the dojos are for, man. Hit up that dojo and practice your parry. Are you still confused about when to dodge versus when to deflect in Sifu? That's okay. We're going to help out with this tip here. The game originally tells you that you only really have to dodge when an enemy is coming at you with a heavy attack. However, that's not necessarily true. Deflecting is useful when enemies are hitting you with slow, deliberate attacks that you can see coming from a mile away. However, when enemies are throwing a flurry of attacks at you, you want to stick to your dodge ability. The reason is the dodge actually gives you an advantage with this flurry of abilities, because if you dodge during an attack, you can immediately follow up with an attack after. Versus when you deflect in Sifu, you have to wait till the enemy eventually gets stunned by you deflecting their attack multiple times. But if you're fighting someone like the last boss in the game, you always want to use the dodge because his attacks are so fast and unpredictable and they come at you out of nowhere. The dodge is going to be the best, so you can dodge and immediately attack with an ability, unlike deflecting where the enemy needs to be stunned in order to attack. So I hope you guys have all been doing this one, but if you haven't, please listen up because this is going to be the most helpful tip for you. Please, please, please do not just mash X and Y and expect everything to be okay. Sifu is not a button mashing game. You're gonna have to go inside of the menu and check out those combos and see which ones you can really get down. Now, I'm not saying you need to go to your menu and master every single combo in the game. Like, that's gonna take you a long time, dude. What I am saying though is you should have key combos down, and I'm gonna let you know some of them. The first one is, I mentioned earlier, the directional throw. You should always know the combo for that one. The second one is going to be your sweep kick. This is going to be the most useful thing in the game when fighting one-on-one. Whenever an enemy is about to attack you or whenever you need to get some big damage in, you always want to sweep kick and follow this up with your B. This is going to allow you to get on the ground and really pound that enemy in and get that damage going. Now, if you want to know some of my favorite combos, it's the roundhouse kick and the push kick. These are going to be super important because these are going to also allow you to push enemies without having to directionally throw them. You guys can see when I'm fighting these guys here, I'm doing a mix of directional throwing with also some roundhouse kicks, and then I'm also throwing in a little bit of push kicks, and this is constantly building their structure up and allows me to get in for the takedowns. Even though these are leveled up enemies, they got their level 2 difficulty going on, I'm still able to come out on top. And with the next tip, we're going to show you why throwing enemies into walls and surfaces is so important. Alright, so throwing enemies into the walls is going to be one of your biggest ace up the sleeves in Sifu. This is because when enemies get knocked against a wall, they lose an extremely high amount of structure. So immediately, once you throw them into the wall, whether that's going through other people or even just going into the wall, that's going to build their structure, you can come in with a takedown and just mop the floor with them. I'm talking destroy them, guys. So this tip, 100%, please use this. Always throw enemies around, juggle them constantly throw them into the walls. That's going to build their structure so you can get those takedowns and never lose health in Sifu. Now this next one is going to seem a little cheesy, but I feel like this one is super useful if you're getting the actual combat in Sifu down. Once you guys master the ability of your combos and all of your damage in Sifu and you're throwing enemies against the wall, you're building structure, the next thing you want to do is get the perk Weapon Mastery. Weapon Mastery is going to be huge for you, dude, because Weapon Mastery is going to allow you to use a weapon completely until it breaks down. With that being said, the next thing you're going to want to do is go to the shrine and level up the weapon durability perk as much as possible. You will basically be able to go through an entire level with a weapon the whole game. And when you get to your boss fights, this is going to be a huge one. When you get to your boss fights, you can still use that weapon against the boss. And this is going to really help you triumph any boss you're struggling with in the game. Alright guys, this last tip is just going to be some useful things I think you should pick up in the skill tree and get permanently unlocked once you're playing Sifu. Number one is coming in at the Strong Sweep Focus. This is one of the most powerful one-cost abilities in the game. It allows you to sweep your enemy from underneath and come in with a down B attack. So you get on top, mount him, pound him to death. Great attack. This is going to be useful on 90% of bosses and is probably going to carry you through the game on one-on-one fights. The second one is Environmental Mastery. This allows you to press RB near an item and throw it at an enemy. This seems not that useful, but when you're surrounded in a room by things like bottles and chairs and all sorts of other environmental interactions, you're going to realize how just useful this ability is. It's going to allow you to stun enemies without even being close to them, and you can just go willy-nilly throw all the items in the room at an enemy if you want to and kill them. The third one is going to be the Slide Kick. This is a strong initiation to any combat in Sifu. You're going to run in with a kick, slide down, knock them on their asses, and they're going to be absolutely done for after that. I highly recommend starting most of your fights with a slide kick. And the last one, as I mentioned in a tip earlier, is the Weapon Mastery. It allows you to use a weapon until it breaks completely. In my opinion, this is probably the most helpful skill you could possibly pick up in a game. So if you don't pick up any other skill, please pick up this one. Alright guys, if any of those tips were useful in any way or form, please drop a like or a subscribe. It helps my channel more than you could know, and I appreciate you guys more than you could know. So thank you. Hopefully these tips will help you survive in the wonderful world of Sifu and become Mr. Miyagi's new project. And if you're interested in seeing any more Sifu gameplay, check out some of the gameplay on the channel. You might get a laugh or two. Thank you so much. Have a good one, guys.